This presentation addresses popular methodology, which is chapter 4 in Jeremy Harmer, The Practice of English Language Teaching. The chapter addresses approaches, methods and procedures and techniques as core concepts, but the heart of the matter is to furnish you with some examples of foreign language teaching ways that have been popular over time. Here we go. Right. If you look at the basic definitions, we distinguish approaches, which is like the general theory of how to teach something, and inside an approach you can then have several methods. Okay, would be a practical realization of the approach, and then we can go further into actual teaching, translating a basic method within an approach to practical procedures of sequences. That would be activities, and each activity would then reflect in turn a different technique. The technique could then be listening for gist or silent viewing. So if you take the whole thing, an approach a general approach could be communicative language teaching, the communicative approach. And inside that you have methods such as task-based learning. And inside task-based learning, you might then translate that approach into procedures of individual sequences. That one could be the pre-task phase, the post-task phase, and so on and so forth, and of course the task phase itself. Okay, on we go. Okay, we'll start out with something that used to be rather popular, namely the grammar translation approach. That was the way I was taught English for very much of my schooling. Grammar translation, here we would focus on grammatical rules, glosses or other grammatical phenomena, and we were taught then how to apply that via translation exercises. So we might do little exercises on nouns, for instance. A noun, will then define perhaps what a noun was and how to work with plurals and so on and so forth, and the whole thing would then be done more or less in Danish. The rule would be shown in Danish, and then we would work with the rule first, perhaps with insert little fill in the blanks exercises, insertion exercises, and then you might translate something from Danish into English. Or the other way around, if we work with oral English, we might then read something aloud and then translate it into Danish. Okay, read an English text and then translate it into Danish. Okay, so you get the things right here. The direct method is still around, isn't it? The idea of there being an L2 classroom. That is, everything that is in that classroom takes place in English. Right. So if we teach English as a foreign language, that we use as the classroom language. Okay. And the teacher might then relate words and phrases and sentences to pictures, but much of this was then morphed into audiolingualism, which is in turn in the United States. That would be a great approach because everything could take place in English, but if you look at the audiolingualism way, it's teacher's rather trite. Here it's completely teacher controlled with an audio input from the teacher, like repeat after me procedures, such as the teacher might say, hold a pen in his hand and then put it on the table and say, okay, the pen is on the table, and then the class would repeat after him or her, the pen is on the table, and then the teacher might take a chalk and then show the class the chalk and then say with the kids the chalk, and then the kids would then say the chalk is on the table after the teacher put it there. Okay, right, or rubber for that matter. Okay, on we go. Another interesting approach is PPP, which is presentation, practice, production. I think that would be the kind of format that most textbooks, in a way, more or less advise that would like the students to get a presentation of what the whole problem is. Then we'll do a little practice with them, and then they produce something with it. It's very teacher controlled, typically picture based. The teacher might show a flashcard so as to elicit sentences from the students. Okay, might show a picture of kids playing, and so might ask the kids, okay, what can you see on the picture? Oh, the kids are playing. There's a kid, and so on and so forth. And then would the teacher would go on to present sentences to do with the grammatical topic. Okay. For instance, how to work with the progressive, that it be plus ing, I am skipping, the kids are playing, I am playing, and so a new picture with the teacher is playing, here's the teacher playing something, and so on and so forth. And then we'd move to the individual practice stage. There would be like cue response drills here. The students would get a cue and then come up with a response to that cue. They would have like the verb to conjugate or to inflect, right? And then at the end, after practicing, having worked with the B plus ing form exercises, they would now try to apply new phrases, new chunks, combinations of words, right, in new environments, and that way the student's own vocabulary could be used. Right. Problem about this method is it's rather teacher controlled and it's not really authentic communication. Typically it might also be that if going on, for instance, Denmark, that thing could also involve speaking Danish and so on and so forth to have the rules told, and so on and so forth. And PPP is also said to be very nice for people with a certain social background, because there might be working class kids background with the background such that they're not really used to talking about their experiences. This is something that middle class and upper class homes do, well, upper middle class homes do, whereas in working class or socially challenged kids might not really be used to talk about something sort of that this exploring phase. So at least this is what people doing reading to learn and writing to learn argue. Okay, on we go. I hope you can be ready for some more. There are alternatives to the straight arrow PPP with the presentation and then the practice and then the production. You might sometimes do a deep end approach with the kids. Here it starts at the production end. You like them to do things, right? And then the teacher would do a presentation of what was learned and then have drills for this. That would be, practice drills for the students. So you have like production and then presentation and then practice. Another alternative is the ESA, the Engage, Study, Activate method, which will start out with engaging the students, showing something that's interesting. It could be a movie or something, in order to get their interest and attention. And then you will work with studying, right? Have them study some phenomena. Some phenomenon, typically a phenomenon rather than phenomena. We like to sort of keep a focus here, and then to activate their knowledge, doing things with it. So it's very much like PPP, but you start out with stimulating the students, getting their interest and concern, activate it, and then you study. You have them zoom in on something, work with something, contemplate something, focus on something, and then activate that knowledge. So that could be, doing a poster, doing a little report, doing something that would correspond to the production stage in the PPP sequence. Right, on we go. In fact, I should also, before we go on, mentioned the patchwork lesson where sort of have all kinds of, where you can, you could play with it. And in the patchwork lesson, it was I start out with activating, and then study, and then engaging them. Okay, so we'll try to do so. We'll activate their knowledge to study it, and then make it fun afterwards, right? Or you could have the activate before the fun part, and then the study part, and the A. So use the ASE and AES could be patchwork lessons, or the boomerang lesson where you start with the engagement still, but then you activate and then you study afterwards. Okay, it's very much like the TBL, the task-based learning structure that we're going to look at later. Okay, right. But these are workable alternatives to PPP.